Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Today on Talk Wealthy to Me, I'm joined by Dana Marie Roquemore, the visionary behind the Dinner Party Project. With over 20 years in hospitality, Dana has always had a heart for people, food, and creating experiences that connect us in meaningful ways. What started as a simple idea, drawing names from a hat and inviting strangers around her dining table, has grown into a celebrated community movement right here in Orlando. And let's face it, she's a local celebrity that we all love. She embodies what it means to live holistically wealthy, and I can't wait for you to hear her journey of turning passion into purpose. You guys, help me welcome a dear friend, Dana Marie, to Talk Wealthy to Me. You guys are going to enjoy her so much. So, hi. Thank you for being here.
I love being here. I love seeing you in real life.
I know. It's just so much better than
emails,
FaceTime.
And yeah, absolutely.
So you have quite the story.
It is true.
Yes. And I think that there are so many things that you've learned along the way that I've gotten to witness. And I'm so proud of the person that you are and your grit and tenacity. And I think that so many of our listeners will be able to walk away with great action items and things to reflect on. So without, you're welcome. Further ado, tell us. So who are you and what do you do?
Okay. So I am Dana Marie Roquemore, and I have owned and run the Dinner Party Project for over 11 years now, which is crazy.
It's insane.
Over 900 dinner parties and events. And so we just really we are intentional to gather people with purpose and intention in beautiful settings so they can be sometimes more informal, and a lot of times they're a more intentional, direct setting to create conversation in a very specific way.
Well, and I think the story of why you started Dinner Party Project is so moving. And I think it's something that everyone has felt at one point in their life, and that they were lacking community or just wanting to be around good people. Tell the audience that journey and what you saw was lacking and why you knew that there was a need for TDPP.
Absolutely. So it came in a roundabout way, and it really did not start as a business. And I am also really not a business person.
You're such a creative and all the things.
It is not what brings me joy is like the trajectory and the business plans and the marketing and all that kind of stuff. But what I do love and I've always loved is gathering around the table and just the magic that happens around the table. And so long story short, I was kind of like, I've been in hospitality for over 20 years. At that time, I was kind of in between jobs and things that I was wanting to do and creative things. And so I had taken a sabbatical. So I went to Australia and New Zealand for 3 months and just, I have no kids. I had no partner. I had no dog at the time. And so I just was like, let me just go. And, I was in my a little bit younger. So I was just like, I just, took my big savings account and just, said, I'm going to go live. And so I came back from that trip and I loved traveling. I loved it. It filled up my cup. I mean, 3 months, I just, it was no work. I mean, a tiny bit of work, but really it was just time to just wander and let myself live and breathe and be in a new environment. And so I came back from that trip and, like you're always kind of like a little bit like frazzled or like unsure of like what was next. And so I kind of was in this weird place in my life where I was like, what am I going to do next? And so a friend of mine around that time asked me, what brings you life and what brings you joy and what are you not doing?
Such a good question to ask someone.
I know, that you should be doing. What are you not doing that you should be doing? And so I was like, well, if I could do anything, I would probably throw dinner parties for a living. I love the magic with people, with food, with drinks, with questions, for conversation. And I have felt so lucky in my life. I've lived in Orlando since 2000. So 25 years now,
So you were
almost.
born here.
Kind of. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Basically born here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel like I've had such a luxury truly of having so many people in my life. So I would host organically a lot, and then around my dinner table. And so when I was thinking about, oh God, what am I thinking of next? I did dinner table at my grandparents' dining room table. I now had in Orlando in a house in Orwin Manor. I could fit 8 people around the table. So I just thought, like I love gathering and I love the kind of the intermix of people. And I was like, I would love to have dinner with strangers. And so the idea was people that I had known, like at, when you go out to like events and it's like social and you're like, oh, like I just met you. Like I don't really, or like I see you often, I don't really know you that well.
Yeah.
Or like I have really great friends, like deep friendships. Like you would be like an example. And then I was like, I want some of those friends to like meet each other. And then I wanted to meet new people. So I was like, I'll just set the table and I'll invite people over. It was called Dinner for 8, and we'll just like invite people to come over, and we'll do 4 courses and 4 beverages, and we'll have questions around the table and introductions. And that was just kind of, I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to come. I was putting it out into the universe, and I was like, we'll just see what happens. And so kind of started in 2014.
And they did come.
Yeah.
And they came in droves. You have had how many Dinner for 8s now?
Oh, that's a good question. Somewhere along the lines we've lost track. But I mean, we've probably had at least I don't know, 150.
Yeah. I mean,
like, yeah.
It's and it's become such a legacy of our area. So many people know about what you do and what you're passionate about. And I remember, you guys, the first time that I was at one of those events and Dana was there, I totally went up to her and said, I'm having a fangirl moment. The Dinner Party Project is so amazing. And you're like a local celebrity. And then we became fast friends.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to see some incredible relationships that you have curated by having a dinner and bringing together strangers. And I've seen your business evolve into private parties. And one of my favorite things that you do, Women Lead Orlando. So tell us about that and how you came up with that idea and why it is now such an important thing on the Orlando community calendar every year.
Sure. So we started back in 2016. There's a friend of mine, Laura Youngkin, who was living here at the time. She now lives, she now has moved away. But we were kind of talking about how we wanted to, gathering women empowerment, women things. I know sometimes that's maybe a little bit cliche but really intentionally gathering women in a way that was like in a bigger format, because I had done some smaller things for women that was like more intimate. So we were thinking about like, how do we gather women intergenerationally? So it's like women that are coming up in their careers, women that are solidly like in their careers, and then more seasoned women that have a lot of knowledge of like what they've come up through in the past, their time in their industry.
Yeah.
So we wanted something that was intergenerational and then inter-industry. So it wasn't just like realtors or social media people or bankers or whatever. And then we wanted always to have a theme so that it would be something that we wanted to address in the community, or that people maybe like, it was like good to learn from other people, because you're still at a table with like 8 to 10 women and there's a host at the table. And that to us is the secret sauce, which is really the intentionality with the hosting. And so it's not like the programming is very minimal, and then the talking around the table is really where I think the value of that event is.
Well, and I think one of the most special things that I get out of these events is, for so many of us that or come from a place that we didn't necessarily see the women that we aspired to be. This is a great way to bring people together that takes down kind of the curtain, so that young women that are just starting and maybe have been following somebody that has done so much and could potentially be a mentor for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're not only at the same event, but they may be at the same table.
Sure.
So I think that that's one of those special things, that it is truly about connection and pouring back into the women that make this community and so many other communities magical. And you've done this at different times all over the country. And I think it just speaks to these gatherings of large groups of women being hungry for it and excited about it is such a legacy that you've gotten to leave.
Thanks. Yeah, I've done 7 years so far.
It's crazy.
We skipped a couple of years in COVID, but then we're
back.
It's wild.
So when you were growing up, you did not aspire to be an entrepreneur who threw dinner parties. What did little Dana want to do when she was thinking about the future and what success would look like?
I didn't really have a very clear-cut, some people wake up and they're like, I want to be a doctor or a librarian or a horse trainer. Like some people I feel like sometimes have a very clear trajectory. And I have never been that. My life has been here, there, up, down. My dad was kind of in the same way. So I saw my dad as an entrepreneur. And so that I really ingrained kind of how he lived his life in that way. But there was no real, I think there was as a kid, so many different things that popped into your head, but there was no kind of driving force in that way.
Like a true creative.
Right.
Right. It all sounds good.
I knew that I wanted to help people. And so I, when I finished high school, I did some missions stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know kind of what I wanted to do there. And I just wanted to serve people and help people. But then I kind of felt like I didn't want to do medical missions or be a teacher. And so I didn't really have any real track in that way. And so I just started to go to counseling in my early 20s, and that really transformed my life. And I was like, oh, I think I want to be a therapist.
Okay.
Yes. So I went to school and I have a degree in psychology with a minor in substance abuse counseling.
And you're a great listener, and you relate to people very quickly. And I think you meet them where they are at. So I'm not surprised by that.
Sure. Yeah. So in a way, I finished that and I was like, I don't know. And I was already working in events at that time. So I was working in events, traveling, which was really fun. For 4.5 years, I did events all over, not my company, but events all over the nation, which is really, really fun. And then I was also in school full time. So that was a lot. And then I finished that undergrad degree and I was like, I don't know if I have it in me right now to open another book on an airplane. And so I just kind of put that on pause as far as a therapist. And I was like, I also don't know if I could sit in a room for day in, day out. And I was like, I want to help people. I want to have people share their stories. And so later on down the line, I was in events for a long time. And then later on down the line, I started Dinner Party Project. And so that for me, we love the amazing food and drink that makes the dinner party what it is.
Fun.
So incredible. And then really what I'm passionate about is people sharing their stories. So being able to have a platform and everyone wants to be heard, and everyone's favorite name is their own name. Everyone's favorite word is their own name. So yeah, kind of us setting the table and then inviting people in to share their stories. That is important to me.
And you get to help people and throw dinner parties and bring yourself joy.
Right.
I love that. And it's so important, I know you and I have talked about this. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but so often what we think we want to do is not something that we choose based on bringing us joy. It is usually a choice that we make because of, parental influence or, obligation or a financial desire. Right. So I think that what you have done and what I love so much is you found a way to do the things that you felt called to do but to make it your own so that it was filling your cup. And that is, I think, going back to, the conversations that women need to have, is such a gift for us to talk about with our friends and with the young women that are looking at us to be the trailblazers. Figure out what makes you happy and then figure out a way to do that every day so that your version of success is attainable.
Yeah.
I
think there's two avenues. Like, I think one is like, sometimes it's like just have a job that you're not emotionally invested in. You clock in, you clock out, and that fills your need for having resources, and then you can get your creative like outside of that.
Yeah.
Because also being an entrepreneur, I think also there's a lot of pressure that comes with your joy and your passion, right? So it's not without stress.
Sure.
So I think there's two ways to kind of fill the happiness and fill the creative outlets if you have that need. And I mean, I wouldn't always tell people to be an entrepreneur because, like, as you know, building this, like, there is
never turns off,
right? And if you are the buck stops here, it really is a lot versus like maybe you're like, maybe my life is better suited to like having a job I know that I'm good at. It's not like sucking my soul. I get a really great paycheck and then I get to be able to do all the things that I want to do. So I think it's like each to each their own.
100% agree with that.
Right.
Find the thing that brings you joy and do that.
Do that.
So going back to money, growing up, were financial conversations something that were happening around your dinner table or with some of the, I don't want to say elders, it sounds so funny, but like elders in your life, people that you respected. Were you guys talking about that? Or is it something that you kind of had to kerfuffle into along the way?
Not so much in that way. I think there was a little bit of like financial literacy that my parents tried to do, I think later in the years. And my mom, I think, was more so like wanting to impart that to us. And so my dad, who was sadly he's not with us anymore, but he was just such a charismatic person. And he also had this just zest for life and wanting to also take care of people and make the world better. And so he, like I said, was an entrepreneur. So he really started out wanting to serve people. And he, like, when I was growing up, we would go to like a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. And sometimes at night, I grew up in like the Washington, D.C. area. So sometimes at night, like my family, we would go and get the leftover food and then take it to people that needed it on the streets and just like serving people like in real time, in real person. And so that's part of my dad's legacy is like his, whether he was chatting to the person behind the counter at McDonald's or he has been in the Oval Office several times, no matter who the person was, he like honored them and valued them and gave them dignity and wanted to like make sure that they were feeling, he had dad jokes, he had like all these like funny like anecdotes. And so I really learned from him the joy of his life was people and serving them and loving on them well. And then his nonprofit entrepreneur life really didn't always have a steady income, right? So I am one of 5 children, and my parents were married and in love for 42 years, which I could not place a value on that. Like that is like, yeah. And my dad just loved us so well and like, would wrap his arms around us every day and get down on the floor and play with us and tell us that he loved us, verbally. But he wasn't always like, money was sometimes up and money was sometimes down.
Sure.
And so also I grew up in Virginia, which is like, I mean, Loudoun County is probably like the second most expensive county in the U.S. besides Connecticut, right? So I was growing up in a very like wealthy area, but we were not, we were always covered for in all respects, right? But so sometimes money was like tight and sometimes it was more flush. And then I was living in, in an area where it's kind of like clueless. Like they're driving BMWs at like 16. And I was like, okay,
That's
this
not
is
my
not my,
life.
not my life. So I kind of saw and kind of followed in my dad's footsteps eventually of like, I want to do something that has meaning and value. And, you know, in my business also, like sometimes money is up, sometimes money is
Yeah.
down. And so I think that's something that entrepreneurs also should be talking about, that it's not always a check mark of like up and to the right all the time.
No.
Right? Seasons
I would love to hear
change.
I would love to hear how your exposure to that impacted you. So I've, talked to different people that say I was, very budgeted and didn't have what my friends had. And seeing that was a driver to success.
Mm.
And some people, I think, just are so not affected by financial goals that it doesn't matter. When you were seeing the people, the young people pulling up in BMWs, did you look at that and think, oh, I'm going to work hard to get that? Or were you kind of just like, that's just not my life?
I mean, I would have in high school, I would have loved to have had that life. But it wasn't really the end goal.
Yeah.
I think that it was like, I want to do something that's meaningful for my life. And so I really did kind of like follow somewhat in my dad's footsteps of like, and I mean, for me also, like I am part of Women in Wealth, and I, listening into like the workshops and things like that. So like I'm still learning, and that's something that I want to grow in. And for me, the more important is, do I have like a fulfilling life and doing something meaningful versus like, do I have $250,000 in the bank, or I want to be financially secure and stable and comfortable. And so that's definitely where my path is going towards. And it's not maybe as much about like, do I have the handbag or do I have that? But it's more like,
Joy.
Can I do the things that are wealthy to me? And so I think those are the things that I equate to wealth.
That drive you.
Yeah, that drive me.
And that's what's so beautiful about this journey for everybody is wealth doesn't look the same for all of us. And for you, I know one of the things that you love to do so much is travel. And you are so true to your school with that. And I think it's so interesting how you find these trips and these opportunities and the ways to get to these amazing places. And I love that.
Thank you.
So you prioritize mental health, and rest is a big thing. I would love for you to chat on that for a minute, but also travel. So you find ways to kind of feed into your mental health to give yourself time to rest. And you go to places, it's not like when you go to England, you're going to London and you're sightseeing. You're going to these small little towns and just being where your feet are, which is amazing.
Thank you.
So how do you do it? How do you prioritize travel in a way that doesn't financially demand a lot of you, but you still get to check the boxes and do things that matter and will serve you personally?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I was, when I equate to wealth, and I have these on my notes, so I'm going to read them, but I feel like I have always felt like I want to have a life that feels true to like who I am. And like these 6 things, I did not come up with them, but I really have kind of like tried to align my life by them and have the fulfillment come from not kind of like, for me, like a 9 to 5 in that way. So for me, like time is a big one, having a healthy body, a quiet mind, slow mornings, ability to travel, and a house full of love. And so to me, that is a wealthy life. And travel is definitely a big part of that. So for me, whenever I can find those pockets of time, and I really like extended times of travel. And like, I know some people are like, I'm here for the weekend. I'm here for this week. I'm here for a ski thing, whatever. And so for me, I more so really try to get like a chunk of time, especially in the summer, because we live in Orlando, which feels like the surface of the sun. And so, it's like finding whether like I'm going to stay with friends which I am so fortunate to have so many people that are like, yes, come and visit. And so, either it's a road trip or I fly somewhere. Sometimes it's, a family that I go visit. And I've done this thing called Trusted House Sitters. So you pay like a yearly fee, which is very low. And then it's free to go travel like around the world. And so you stay there and you house and you pet sit. And then I also work from there. Like I
Yeah.
have that capacity to be remote sometimes in my life. And that is the way that works for me to be able to like get out, do things that I want to do, also work, also take time, also go to the grocery store, make the meals, go out, occasionally for a nice meal. So within my budget, budgeting for that is how I make it work for my life.
And I adore you personally. And I want to take a second to just say how amazing it is that you are the architect of this life, and the way that you figure it out while doing all of the things that are important to you is
Mm-hmm.
such a gift. Because where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you are such a good example of that, where if you want something to happen, you're going to figure out a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's setting such a good example.
Good. Yeah.
I love it.
I want people to feel really healthy and wealthy on so many different levels.
That's right.
Right. And so it's not just equating to the number in the bank account, which you should have enough to be comfortable and like live well. And that's part of it. And then also building your wealth so you feel healthy and secure, because that equates to your mental health.
100%.
Right. So all of like the finances helps with like the ability to travel. It helps with like, the relationships, to be able to go out to eat, to do these things. And then making sure that, you're moving your body enough. But all the things are so intertwined holistically. Like, are you eating well? That means eating good food. That means spending money on maybe some better quality ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So the money really affects all the different ways. And then incorporating, are you filling your soul and your spirit? Like those things, that's wealth. That's wealth in your spirit as well. Because if you're not well in your body, that's going to affect everything else as well.
Everything else.
Yeah.
So you are also a bit of an Enneagram expert.
Yes, of course.
And you guys, we could spend probably hours on this topic, but I would love to just have you kind of talk through that in case anybody listening doesn't know what that is and how it has helped you throughout your life.
Absolutely. So I came into the Enneagram probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. So it's been a little while.
Yep.
And through friends, and then I really was like, and so I have a degree in psychology. So I've always been interested in kind of like personality roadmaps about like birth order, all these kind of things, how it really affects how we see the world and interpret the world, right? Our reality is our perception. How we see the world, our perception is our reality. And so the Enneagram is kind of like a personality roadmap, and it's like a holistic way of kind of our DNA, really like how we're built intrinsically, and then our life experiences and how that is interacted with our personhood and ourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 9 different personality types, and you kind of find what motivates you the most in those things. And then from that, it really kind of helps us to look at like, hey, when I'm healthy and when I'm really doing well and integrating my life, these are some of the things that usually are manifesting. And when I'm unhealthy and I'm stressed out and things are kind of unraveling, maybe here's some things to look out for in my life. And it has been a really great eye-opener. It's helped me to like understand myself more and love myself more and give myself more grace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like it really helped me to understand like not everyone sees the world the way that I do and interprets the world the way that I do. But that's how I'm only one person. So I can only see through Dana's lens. So I have to understand that Alice over here is not going to
react the same way.
excuse me, is not going to absolutely react the same way or communicate the same way. Like I'm very direct. And not everybody likes that, or not everybody can. So I need to understand that I can also love people well and better by also sometimes meeting them where they're at and having patience for them, having patience for myself. So yeah, it's been a great.
Yeah, it's so cool because you and I have been in conversation and I'll say, oh, so-and-so is or myself, oh, I'm a 3 with a 2 wing. And you're
Mhm.
like, that makes so much sense. But it's really cool because you've almost become a subject matter expert with it. And I
Mhm.
think it's helped you with creating those connections and
Mhm.
understanding how people react and all of that. It's very interesting. If
It is.
you guys have not taken it, there are ways you can do it that are a little bit more surface level and they're free. You
Mhm.
can go way down a rabbit hole and but it may help you figure out how you interact with not only relationships, but with money and jobs and asking for promotions and all of those
And people on
things.
your team. I feel like
Yes.
that's one thing that I wish that I had known 11 years ago, like before I started, because I think that that's some mishaps that I have made as the boss and as people that has hired people and let go of people. I really wish that maybe I had understood more that people are coming from different places.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and I wanted to ask you this because I think that you're such a good teacher. If we could go back to Dana 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
as a new business owner, for anybody that's listening out there, what is one thing that you did really well in creating this business?
Mm-hmm.
And what is something that you may be able to share that could help somebody listening that is thinking about starting a business or just in that same kind of stage of building something that is financially secure? What would
Sure.
you say those things are?
Yeah. As far as starting something, I think that I have part of it is just like naivete. and I know that I am a really good risk taker.
Yep.
Right. So I feel like, all right, let's put something out there. We'll see if people like it. I had another business before the dinner party project that was called Other People's Property, where I did styling and vintage and all that kind of stuff.
Love it.
So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to put this out there. We're going to see if people show up. If not, then we'll roll and we'll move to the next thing. And I have a high capacity for that. So I think sometimes, like, I am encouraging people sometimes to just start.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. It's never going to be perfect.
No.
And then 2, you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes part of it's asking people, hey, do you want to partner with me on this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? Can you give me your feedback on that? And then it really is about, especially people are always asking, like, how do I host dinner parties? And really the big part is like, put a date on the calendar and invite people. Just start something. And even if it's not your full-time gig, if you're wanting like to start kind of like your side hustle, like start a side hustle, keep your main job until you're really at a better place, financially.
Yeah.
But it really is about taking that step and moving forward and saying it might not be all the edges might not be perfect. I'm going to get all the feedback that I can, but I am going to start. I'm going to put it out there into the world, and you never know what's going to happen.
You may have to pivot along the way, but just start.
Oh, you will absolutely have to pivot along the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is the thing for everybody listening that they want or that they should do. Just start, pivot along the way.
Yep.
What is one thing that you could go back and redo?
Yes.
That girl. What is the one misstep that you think people could learn from?
Yeah, I would say it's maybe 2 parts in a sense, but maybe earlier on having a better financial plan and finding something like Women in Wealth or a person that's really good to like look at your books, right, that we've done and say like, okay, like where can we trim the fat? Or like when I was first starting, it really wasn't a business and then it shifted into being a business. And at the beginning, people were so excited. So like that was my focus. Like people were wanting to come, like this was a brand new thing for Orlando. They were like, what is this dinner party project? Yeah. So I wasn't as much focused on, okay, what does it look like as we grow? As, what does marketing budgets look like? What are your actual costs? What are taxes going to look like? I didn't really have that as like a forefront of my plan. Again, it wasn't a business plan. It was like I started with this fun, cool thing.
People liked it.
People started to come. I made it into a real business. And then I just kept on rolling. But I didn't really have a business plan or a financial plan. So I really would have, going back, obviously hindsight is 2020 and behind you. And then for me, a big part is the hiring. Like as I was rolling along and as I grew and had more income coming in, it was more than I could facilitate along the years. Like I wish that I would have known how to lead better, how to be a better leader in that sense, and understanding people's needs and their the best execution for the role that they should be in, knowing that better, and then hiring out of desperation, which I have done.
I think everybody probably has at some point.
And so those things were really not a good fit for my business, and I really paid like a pretty high price financially hiring the wrong fit for my business.
And emotionally, because someone is your person, they're your person. And whether they're a friend or a family or someone that's, working with you in your business, you're all in. So when I feel like that, knowing you then, that was a hard part of that too, is losing and struggling emotionally when something doesn't pan out the way that you wanted it to, and that it really could have and should have.
Right.
And I guess that's where that old adage comes from, that you should hire before you're ready, because that can feel scary. But when you hire before you're ready, I think that it gives you the time and the runway to find the right fit, instead of saying, holy cow, I've got this huge thing and I need somebody to do this
yesterday.
And you might make a decision that might not be the best. And none of us are going to know when that happens.
Right.
But I think that those tips are so valuable, especially because we are in a time as a country globally where women are saying, how do I learn, do, invest, all of these things better or start? And so many women start a side hustle that before you know it is a business. And to go backward and try and figure out, this thing was just fun and now I have to go back a year and make it a business, can trip some people up. So I think that's great advice. I think you are always so open to figuring it out and saying, like, here this is, guys. How do I perfect it or make it better? And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people that are business owners, especially women, feel like, I don't want to say, hey, this isn't working. Help me figure out how to make it better or more profitable or whatever the question may be, because it will immediately make them feel like they are, don't belong in the seat that they're in. So I commend women that can say, look at me, help me. I'm not an expert in this space. How can we tweak it? And I think that that's something that we can all do better and be, open. Ask for help and find the people. Build out your board of directors. Find the people.
Yeah.
That's where I've Got a Girl came from, right? It's you can find so many people that are smarter than you, but while you're at it, why not find one that is a successful woman that loves to pour into other successful women? It's a great synergy to have at your table. Well, I cannot thank you enough. What is next for you? What's exciting, and where can people find you and follow along to see all the big things that you're destined for?
Absolutely. You can find us on Instagram. We're _ the Dinner Party Project _ So we're on there. The dinnerpartyproject.co is the website. Dana Marie at Hello TDPP if you want to just reach out to me personally. And yeah, dinners are going good. We're heading into the holidays. So if you're listening around the holidays and need something, a private dinner party, we are always available.
It is such a cool, and I shameless plug here for my friend. It is such a wonderful thing for anybody that wants to be more intentional with the people in their lives and thinks, oh, I'd love to have everybody over. It's fun, but I know something that you once said to me when we first met. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't tell you the amount of times I'm hosting something, even if it's like a pumpkin carving gathering or something silly, and I'm still in the kitchen getting everything organized. I haven't gotten dressed or put on makeup, and then I don't want to take any pictures because I've got flour in my hair or whatnot. And it truly is such a gift you give not only to your guests, but yourself to be able to
you get to be the host.
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
Be in the moment and let Dana and her team and her chefs take care of everything. They cover it all from soup to nuts, the decor on the table, the place settings, the questions if you want them. So if you are local to this area, give yourself a treat for any special event in your life. Or you travel.
Yes.
Or just for no reason at all to get the people that you love together, because truly that is the most precious part of life, is spending time with people you love. So thank you so much for being here. I know that, anybody that knows you knows that you are such a light in any room and such a good friend. And you are truly committed to doing good and leaving people better than you found them. And I think that that is wonderful. Nice. So thank you for spending your time with me and us.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you for being part of Women in Wealth and being a true partner in, spreading the good word about how important it is to understand and continue to grow. That's what we're all doing. So thank you guys so much. As always, like, share, subscribe, reach out to the guests if you want to keep in touch. And if there's anything that you would like to hear or have a guest come on and share their story, don't hesitate to reach out. As always, thank you for joining. Talk Wealthy to me, and let's continue to change the way women think and feel about money together.